Somebody tell Jada Pinkett Smith to leave us alone.
I really didn't want to get married.
When I was younger, I definitely think I had a sex addiction.
What is the craziest rumor you have ever heard about your family?
That Will and I are swingers.
Yo, I wish.
Jada Pinkett Smith, that's fucked up. It is uncomfortable and grotesquely unfair to emasculate your husband publicly.
Don't just start filming me without asking me.
I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Don't.
You expect your partner to know. It's like, well, if you love me, you should know.
Your 40th birthday was my low point. I hired a team to orchestrate her 40th birthday. And she's told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego.
Why do I know so much about these people's marriage? I kind of feel, literally, I kind of feel like I know more about their marriage than I know about my own damn marriage.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
Too much honesty can get your ass slapped in the face. Keep that shit to yourself.
Chris looks to me and he says, I meant no harm. I decided to sell drugs.
How Jada Pinkett Smith movement, it don't make you want to really be that close with a woman. You're talking about so much personal business. What's your credit score? What's your beacon score? Will, go home, Will.
Bad marriage for life.
Let's get into it. Finding a doctor shouldn't be a guessing game. With ZocDoc, you can search for high-quality in-network doctors across every specialty: mental health, dental, eye care, and more. Just enter your insurance info, and ZocDoc shows you doctors nearby who match your needs. You can even see appointment availability and book instantly, with most appointments happening within 24 to 72 hours. I use it and it makes my life just so much easier. Go to ZocDoc.com/Sloan and book your top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Sloan, ZocDoc.com/Sloan. If you're looking for an easy way to build your credit while using your own money, then you need to check out Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card. There are no annual fees, no interest, and no credit checks to apply. Plus, you can use it anywhere Visa is accepted, making it easy to build credit through everyday purchases and on-time payments. Turn everyday purchases into steps towards your financial goals with Chime's secure credit card. Get started today at chime.com/Sloan. That's chime.com/Sloan. Chime feels like progress. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal and OTC advance fees may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. Welcome back to the Let's Get Into It podcast. Today we're talking all about Jada Pinkett Smith. She has definitely made a name for herself in Hollywood, whether it's a good name or a bad name. She doesn't seem to ever disappear. And she's had quite the feuds over the years, and I wanted to talk a little bit about those, especially the one with her own husband, Will Smith, because sometimes it seems like these two actually hate each other. Personally, I can't imagine being in a relationship with the amount of times they've both spoken so poorly about each other and made it apparent that they are toxic, that there's been some cheating rumors. And I always feel like Jada never really wanted Will from the jump, but there's enough of my opinions.
I really didn't want to get married, but
We only got married because Gammy was crying.
I was under so much pressure, you know, being a young actress, being young, and I'm just like pregnant. I was just like, I didn't know what to do, but I just knew. I was like, I never wanted to be married.
Because the wedding was horrible.
It was horrible.
It was a mess. Jada was sick. She was very unpleasant. He didn't cooperate with
We were 6 months pregnant at the wedding.
No, I was
How many?
3 months.
3 months. It wasn't a day in my life that I wanted anything other than being married and having a family.
Wow. Thank the good Lord.
Literally 5 years old, I was picturing what my family would be.
Before we dive into some of these bitter feuds, I want to explain who Jada is. I think you really need to hear where she comes from to understand how we get to this point and how she communicates with other people. Personally, I know how the way I communicate with people is a result of my past and the things I've gone through. Like back in the day when I was in middle school and high school, I was so quiet and I kept to myself. But after being beat down so many times, I decided to use my voice, and here we are now. Jada Pinkett Smith was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1971. She came from a pretty tough background. Raised by a single mom in the city known for its grit, Jada had to hustle from a young age, and she was drawn to the arts, so immediately she was in art schools. Her big break came in the 90s when she landed a role on a TV show, A Different World. From there, she gained more attention from her role in Menace to Society, which solidified her as a rising star in Hollywood. But let's be real, her marriage to Will Smith is definitely what shot her straight into the limelight, which I don't want to discount her talent or her career prior, but sometimes that's what happens in a relationship. From that point on, she was able to build a diverse career in Hollywood by managing shows, producing shows, working more behind the scenes. I feel like as she started to get older, she kind of disappeared for a bit before she came back with the Red Table Talk and all of that nonsense. I'm sure you guys have seen clips from her show, Red Table Talk. I think it's on Facebook, but she gets very personal in this show, which I actually appreciate because I'm such a sleuth. I just want to hear everyone's personal details, as cringe as they are, as bad as they can be. I just love to hear it. But it's definitely gotten her in some trouble and built a reputation for herself that I don't know if I would want that, where everyone knew my intimate details.
My sort of addictions jump. They jump around. When I was young, I definitely think I had a sex addiction of some kind. Yes, that everything could be fixed by sex.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or
It's the behavior.
It's the behavior that's attached to it. Because if you want to have a lot of sex, that's great. But why are you having all that sex? That's what you got to look at.
But granted, even my intimate details aren't even as close to as freaky as she can get. I want to start off our story with some clips of her speaking about her husband, Will. But before we get there, I do want to briefly talk about her parents. Her mother's name is Adrienne, and she struggled with addiction during Jada's childhood. So actually, Jada's grandmother played a big role in her upbringing. And that's actually who introduced her to the arts. It was her grandmother who kind of showed her that there were other things to do than to go and get high, which is a blessing. Even though things weren't ever easy financially or emotionally for Jada, her mother eventually got clean and became a nurse.
Today is my anniversary, my clean date. 31 years, one day at a time. And I've spent so many years in that insanity of active addiction, running in and out, and just that revolving door, trying to get my life back together.
Which ultimately showed her that you can bounce back from those dark times. Now, for her father, unfortunately, he wasn't really in the picture. He and her mother, Adrienne, split when Jada was very young. And although he had a few moments of involvement, it was mostly her mom and grandmother who raised her. This fractured relationship with her dad and growing up in a rough part of Baltimore gave Jada that tough edge and independence that you see today.
My father told me at 7 years old, I can't be your father. And it's just like, wow. Okay, what do I do with this? You just kind of internalize it and you kind of go, okay, what's wrong with me? What is it about me that I'm not enough? Because I see everybody else's parents and it looks like their kids are their priority. So what's wrong with me? So I internalize this idea of not being enough, not being lovable.
That is something about Jada. I would definitely not want to mess with her because I would run. I mean, she's scary. She's intimidating. She's a strong woman and no one can take that away from her. Now, there are some people who like Jada Smith. There are some people who cannot stand her. And there are others who just are confused. They don't understand her. And I'm not saying I do, but there are some really questionable moments. And while she doesn't have one big scandal, I think it's like a buildup of her comments that really paint the picture. It might be due to the fact that she's constantly speaking her mind, from revealing that she's been separated from her husband, Will Smith, for nearly a decade, to claiming the late Tupac proposed to her. There doesn't seem like there's much that's off the table when it comes to her discussing her life, whether it's real or not. She wrote a memoir in 2023 titled Worthy that flopped big time. In a time when Britney Spears' book is doing so well, it's like, wait, why is Jada failing so badly? I think there's a layer of inauthenticity that people can see through. And sometimes her stories, while I think there's some truth to them, I think there's a lot of fabrication as well. We're going to start off with Will Smith because the way that she is speaking about her husband is like the opposite of couple goals. Like in this moment when she claims she wishes that they were swingers. Swingers who are people who sleep with other married couples or couples in general.
One fan asked her, quote, "What is the craziest rumor you have ever heard about your family?" After thinking about it for a moment, she responded that Will and I are swingers. But after saying that the swinger rumors were constant, she added, "I wish," to essentially imply that you want to see other men other than your husband while on live TV is rough enough already.
Actually, I feel like I heard that there were like swingers in my neighborhood growing up. Like I need to ask my mom about this because I'm pretty sure there were some people in the neighborhood that were swinging around, which I guess it happens even in like basic suburbia. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jada's longing for this in Hollywood since everyone's a little bit perverted. I feel like it's in the celebrity handbook that when you're with someone or friends with someone, you purposely do not share those kind of details because it's just TMI. Plus, don't you want to avoid hurting your husband's feelings?
What is the craziest rumor you have ever heard about your family?
That Will and I are swingers. That's the
Wasn't
craziest.
that kind of recent, actually?
No, it's constant.
Really?
And I'm like, yo, I wish.
But there's a consistent theme going on here where Jada just can't help but to really dismiss Will Smith. I don't know if it's because he is such a star and because she was always not as big as he was, you know what I mean? Because he is just Will Smith. I feel like she has this disdain for him and this need to constantly humble him instead of just like appreciating him for who he is. Stephen A. Smith was among several individuals who rallied behind Will Smith when Jada Pinkett Smith's book came out, Worthy, because one, it flopped, but two, it completely dragged Will Smith. Imagine writing a book about your husband and putting all your dirty details into it and having it completely flop. That sucks. And she made comments about their separation, their toxic marriage. The sports journalist spoke out about her decision to reveal their years-old separation, shaming her for how she involved the public. On an episode of his podcast, he threw some serious shade at Jada for being open about her affair against Will, saying that Will does not deserve this. He does not deserve what Jada has done to him. You can't treat a man like that. It's none of our business. You're screwing somebody. That's your business. And it is pretty cringe to think that she's going around bragging about cheating on her husband like it's a flex. Nobody's giving her respect or credit for doing that. It just makes you look even crazier.
Jada Pinkett Smith, that's fucked up. Let's talk about the role of a wife, at least from the perspective of just sparing him. I'm not getting in the right and wrong. It's none of my business. I don't know about them. I don't want to know. But I know that it is uncomfortable and grotesquely unfair to emasculate your husband publicly. He's Will Smith. How much smaller do you want to make him? How much? I mean, damn. Come on, Jada. This is wrong. You can't do this. You can't treat that man like that. It's none of our business. You screwing somebody else, your business. Your husband ain't getting it done for you. That's your business. He with somebody else. You with somebody else. That's your business.
I think maybe it could go back to like Jada's upbringing. Again, I don't know these details, but she didn't have a father who she could respect. He was absent. He didn't try. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't really have respect for men either if I was in that position, raised in that kind of like climate. So I'm trying to understand like where it comes from. Like it's either maybe this like disdain towards his stardom, but also maybe just a disdain towards his figure in the family and just not really finding a place for him. I mean, the way that she could just go on Instagram Live and embarrass him just seems cruel.
Clip from when Jada went live on Instagram sometime around 2019. In it, she begins talking about her and Will's marriage counselor, and then suddenly turns the camera to Will to get his opinion. This is when things get really, really awkward. After pointing the phone at him, she asks, "Would you say that she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?" Will looks incredibly uncomfortable and calmly responds, "I would say just don't start filming without asking me if you can film me." Jada, completely missing the point, then keeps trying to record him and get a response from him. Will turns away and continues asking her to stop. At which point, she exasperatedly asked her marriage counselor to return and help her since she is dealing with Will's, in her words, foolishness.
It's so bizarre to try to put your man on the spot like that, and as far as social media goes, I mean, they're celebrities. They understand the world and the impact. Why are they filming each other in this manner? I think that there's definitely some boundaries that have been crossed and maybe never even established, where why is she filming him when they are big celebrities that are just going to post anything? It's just not cool.
You know, Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Esther, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Don't. No, because she don't just.
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start rolling. I'm standing in my house. Don't just start rolling.
Please watch us stare at the red table because she's helped us a lot. Can't you tell?
Almost like she's trying to catch him in a moment, trying to make him look bad. Everyone thinks she's so terrible, and they actually still kind of like Will Smith, which is why we feel that Will Smith deserves better. So maybe this is just part of her plan ultimately to try to ruin his name to make her look better. I mean, her entire book was motivated to do this and it failed. In addition to Jada trying to bizarrely catch her man in some type of act, she goes on to speak about their intimate life, and not in a good way, saying that her husband Will Smith, a man that so many women would love to be with, cannot please her.
When she had Gwyneth Paltrow on the show, the two celebs started chatting about intimacy. When it came to Jada's turn to talk about her and Will's love life, she wasn't afraid to bring up some issues that they had had. Specifically, she talked about how she used to expect Will to read her mind and figure out everything she liked in the bedroom. She candidly said, quote, "I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to sex." Of course, the implication here was that Will was unable to figure out what pleased her and that she wasn't being satisfied when she was with him.
Which, okay, I get that. That's like a couple relationship issue thing. That's something they need to hash out, but definitely nothing that needs to be brought to the mainstream media.
You expect your partner to know, especially when it comes to sex. It's like, well, if you love me, you should know. You know what I mean? If you love me,
you should be able to read
you should read my mind.
Yeah.
You know what
that's
I mean?
a huge
That's a
pitfall.
huge pitfall.
Yeah, it is. I hate that.
You know,
Isn't it weird though? It's like someone doesn't read your mind and we feel crushed. Like we feel so disappointed. Where do we get that from?
Yeah. Tell me what you need, tell me what you want, and on top of it, I know that I have to be accountable to do the same.
And do you?
I really try.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable,
Very.
but it's deeply healthy.
It's almost like she just doesn't know when to quit. And there are times where celebrities have called her out just for that, like Janet Hubert, who had her own words for Jada, and she went in, saying what everyone else is thinking. Jada Pinkett Smith isn't exactly the best of friends with her husband's former co-stars. The actor who originated from the role of Aunt Viv on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Janet Hubert, was alleged to have a toxic relationship with Will Smith on set, ultimately ending with her role being recast after 3 seasons. Janet was among the individuals unappeased by Jada's decision to skip the Academy Awards in 2016. She goes on to say, "First of all, Miss Thing, does your man not have a mouth of his own with which to speak?" Referring to the fact that Jada's decision came after her husband wasn't on the list of nominees for that year's show. And the second thing is, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that you don't seem to recognize. People are dying, being shot left and right. People are hungry. People are struggling to pay bills, and you're talking about actors and Oscars. It's just not that deep. Janet continued in her post, which she titled The Smiths, chastising Jada for giving other actors the idea to boycott the show as well. For you to ask other actors and actresses to jeopardize their career and standing in this town, you know damn well you don't do that. This wasn't the first time that Janet has made a statement about The Smiths, as the actor has called out Will several times over the years for his treatment towards her, saying that Will Smith did some heinous and horrible things to me. They were like bad kids, Will and Alfonso, especially Alfonso. This is something that she said back in 2013 to Insider, which if you guys want me to do a deep dive on Will Smith and all the controversies he's gone through, leave a comment below. But here's a clip of Janet saying exactly what she wants to say.
Will Smith is a grown-ass man, and I am a grown-ass, old-ass woman. And he ain't gotta tell me what to say. I ain't kissing nobody's ass, but I will kick it. So some of y'all need to understand, sometimes you go too far. And just like Will said, we bleed, we hurt from some of the things you say, and you think we're supposed to take it. No, we are not. Now, there have been quite a few people that I wanted to smack, but I didn't, because if I probably could have, I would if I could have. And let's see, Wendy, Kevin, Frazier, Michael Yo, Tamron Hall, quite a few. But I chose to do it verbally. So some of y'all need to stay in your lane and stop telling us what to do. Peace.
Now, this wasn't the only person who was outspoken about Jada making this statement that she's not going to appear at the 2016 award show. Like, okay, no one cares. People only really care if your husband is there. But Stacey Dash had a few choice words for Jada over her decision to boycott the Academy Awards in 2016. The actor made the move after the Academy's acting categories were made up of only white individuals for the second year running, which I agree that's a problem. Jada took to Facebook to deliver the message to fans, explaining that the lack of representation for minorities influenced her decision not to attend. Jada wrote, "At the Oscars, people of color are always welcome to give out awards, even entertained, but we are rarely recognized for our artistic accomplishments. Should people of color refrain from participating altogether?" she questioned. That year, she wished the show host, Chris Rock, which that's triggering, to do well during the event, but she maintained that she would be skipping out. Stacey Dash decided to go on to Fox and Friends, and she decided to call out Jada, saying that she's ludicrous for skipping out.
Well, what do you think about this?
I think it's ludicrous.
Why?
Because
we have to make up our minds. Either we want to have segregation or integration. And if we don't want segregation, then we need to get rid of channels like BET and the BET Awards and the Image Awards, where you're only awarded if you're black. If it were the other way around, we would be up in arms. It's a double standard. Just like there shouldn't be a Black History Month. You know, we're Americans, period. That's it.
Are you saying there shouldn't be a Black History Month because there isn't a White History Month?
Exactly. Exactly.
Being an adult comes with its perks, but finding the right doctor, that's one thing we shouldn't have to guess about. With ZocDoc, you don't have to. ZocDoc is a free app where you can search high-quality in-network doctors and book appointments instantly. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, and who match your specific medical needs, whether it's for mental health, dental, eye care, or something else. You can see their appointment openings and book right on the app, with most appointments happening within 24 to 72 hours. No more waiting months to see a doctor. If you're like me and you want the convenience of finding and booking the right doctor in just a few clicks, ZocDoc is your go-to. So stop putting off those appointments and take care of yourself. Go to ZocDoc.com/Sloan to book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Sloan. ZocDoc.com/Sloan. Thank you, ZocDoc, and enjoy this episode. We all know how important credit is when it comes to making big purchases like a house or a car, and building that credit doesn't have to be complicated. With Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card, you can work toward your credit goals with no annual fees, no interest, and no credit check to apply. It's designed to help you build credit with everyday purchases and on-time payments, giving you the confidence to tackle bigger financial decisions in the future. And what's great is that you can use it everywhere that Visa is accepted. It works just like any other credit card, but you're in control of how much you spend. I personally love how Chime makes it simple to take charge of my financial future. Make your finances greener by working toward your financial goals with Chime. Turn everyday purchases into steps towards your financial goals with Chime Secure Credit Card. Get started today at chime.com/Sloan. That's chime.com/Sloan. Chime feels like progress. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal and OTC advance fees may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. Actress Alexis Arquette also had a statement for Jada after she announced that she would not be attending the 2016 Oscars. Alexis attacked Jada and her husband, Will Smith, for putting their sexuality on blast and even speculating about what she believes to be the real reason for his first marriage ending with Sheree. So she's bringing up some old news, saying when Jada comes out as gay and her beard husband admits that his first marriage ended when she walked in on him servicing his sugar daddy Benny Medina, then I will listen to them. Holy crap. Wow, she's outspoken, huh? I want to interview her. What does she know? Alexis goes on to say that she, being his first wife, paid off silent, that she definitely knows something about him and his relationship with another man, this guy, Benny Medina, who I'm scared to talk about because I've gotten way too many warnings living here in LA about speaking about Benny. Not me whispering, but yeah, people tell me you don't talk about Benny Medina out here. I'm like, not me looking around like someone's gonna come up and jump me. Alexis went even further with her attack on the I'm a Legend star, Will Smith, claiming that he threw a fit when asked to participate in a kissing scene with actor Anthony Rapp for the 1993 film 6 Degrees of Separation. He supposedly persuaded the director to shoot the back of his head in frame, blocking the non-existent lip lock entirely. Neither Jada or Will have responded to any of these accusations, and of course they're not going to. They're not gonna waste their time on at least Alexis, you know. One thing I can't believe that Jada has done is that there was one instance where she decided to really drag her husband through the mud for something I think is so sweet. He spent 3 years, not one, not two, 3 years 3 years actually trying to plan this party for her, an extravagant party, and she was not about it. And actually, not even not about it, but like kind of trolled him for it and made him look so stupid for trying to plan something special for his wife, which again, so many people would dream of.
When Jada had her 37th birthday, Will got a bright idea. He would throw his wife an absolutely massive 40th birthday party. He hired a team to make it happen, and he then spent the next 3 years planning it. He got a documentary team to film it, booked Mary J. Blige to perform, and even traced her family roots. In Will's words, it was going to be the thing that lifted her out of this midlife crisis. It was going to be his deepest and most beautiful proclamation of love. love. But things didn't pan out that way. In fact, Jada absolutely hated the party, despite all the effort that he put into it. To her, it was the most ridiculous display of his ego. When she told him this, he was devastated, and it led him into a depression that he called his low point. And making him recount the embarrassment on her talk show only adds insult to injury.
It is so embarrassing not only to just make fun of him for throwing such an amazing 40th birthday party, but then to have him on your show and to just embarrass him like this in front of your children, in front of the world. She clearly hates this guy.
Your 40th birthday was my low point. The day after her 37th birthday, I hired a team to orchestrate her 40th birthday. I hired a documentary team. I traced Mommy's family roots. Her 40th birthday was going to be my thing.
It was going to be a splash.
It was going to be a splash. Mary J.
Definitely was a
Blige.
splash.
Mary J. Blige performed. I debuted the film, all of that. It was going to be the thing that lifted her out of this midlife crisis, and it was going to be my deepest, most beautiful proclamation of love, and we did it. Then I had Mary J. Blige perform, and the whole time I'm like, the little boy that wants mommy to say everything was wonderful, right? And she's having a really difficult emotional time. And then we got back to the room, it was me, you, and mommy, and we were talking about the next day, and there were things planned for the next day, and she said, I'm not sure I want to do anything the next day. You can just cancel it. And I said, well, let's keep it, and then tomorrow you can decide. She was like, I'm telling you now, I don't want to do anything. And she's told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego.
Now, I do want to touch on Tupac because Jada, for whatever reason, likes to talk about this relationship she had with him, whether they did or not. You know, that's really up for debate. Now, there are rumors that they did have a fling, but she goes on to say that he went on to propose to her. Essentially, that Tupac was the one that got away and that she was so desired in the industry that, you know, she kind of settled for Will Smith. And of course, after being married for so many years, it's kind of sad. She could tell this story without being disrespectful to Will. She could say, yeah, we had a fling. Tupac said he wanted to like marry me. It was this whole thing, but you know, that was the past and whatever. But she goes on to describe it in a way where it seems like, wait, girl, is this what you've wanted from the beginning? Like, does Will even know this story, or did you just dream this up?
The whole basically knew that Jada and Tupac were in love. Even Will couldn't deny it, later writing in his memoir that, quote, their love for each other was legendary, and that he was tortured by it. But it's not just her feelings for Tupac before she and Will met that were a source of turmoil for him. Depending on who you ask, Jada has never stopped loving Tupac, and she continues to make references to him to this day. In 2012, for instance, Jada tweeted out a photo of Tupac embracing and kissing her. The caption read, "I miss him."
Now, in my personal opinion, I feel like it's a little bit pick-me for her to continue to bring him up. I mean, I don't think his family wants her to continue talking about him. But the two did meet in the late 80s at a school in Baltimore for the arts. So they actually met pretty young. Jada has often spoke about how Tupac was like a brother to her. They were incredibly close, but their relationship was never romantic. She emphasized that their connection was rooted in a shared understanding of their tough upbringings and struggles. Jada has said that they had a falling out before his death in 1996, and she regrets that they never had a chance to fully reconcile. Even though they went their separate ways, Tupac's fame skyrocketed and Jada pursued her own career. Their friendship is still a defining part of her story, and she often gets emotional when speaking about how much Tupac meant to her.
People, you know, talk about my relationship with Pac and trying to figure that out, you know, and that was a huge loss in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because he was one of those people that I expected to be here. And my upset is more anger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel that he left me. And I know that's not true. And it's a very selfish way to think about it, but I really did believe that he was going to be here for the long run.
Yeah. Right.
And while I do think they did, I mean, clearly they had this type of deep friendship, like sisterly, brotherly kind of bond. I think the emphasis that she like could have like been married to him is just kind of a made up story. But you know, that is sad to lose a friend like that. I really hope that Tupac gets justice for his death, which may be allegedly due to Diddy. But one of Jada's worst scandals has to be the cheating incident when she had an affair while married to Will with her son's friend. You cannot make this stuff up. Jada's relationship with August, one of her son's friends, became one of the biggest celebrity scandals in recent years, especially after she brought it onto her show and publicly discussed it. Like, she was almost proud of it. It all started when August, a young R&B singer, came into the Smiths family around 2015. Jada and Will were going through a rough patch in their marriage at the time, and Jada formed a close bond with August. However, their relationship evolved into something more. Jada eventually admitted to what she called an entanglement with August when her and Will were separated.
Jada started to feel more and more distant from Will, and some serious problems began to develop between the two of them. A few years later, Jada met singer August Alsina at the 2015 Wireless Festival. He was a friend of her son Jaden, so they got to talking. And then things got complicated. Rumors about Jada and Will divorcing start to spread, and Jada shows up to the BET Awards with August in 2017. Then in 2020, August spills the beans and states that he and Jada were in a relationship for years with Will's blessing. Although Jada tried to deny it at first, it all became clear. She was in a long and serious relationship with her son's friend August Alsina while married to Will.
That phrase entanglement actually became pretty viral because people were like, an entanglement? Like, what are you talking about? You were having intimacy with a much younger guy. They have a 21-year age gap. She was like in her mid-40s. He was about 23 at the time when this went down. Very impressionable, I must say. But what really had people talking was when Jada and Will discussed the affair on their show. Jada and Will sat down and hashed it out for the world to see. They were both candid about the ups and downs in their marriage and how they worked through this complicated period. For some, the transparency was refreshing, while others criticized the couple for airing out such personal issues so publicly.
He also wanted to make it clear that he's not a homewrecker, which he's not.
I think so. I mean, because this is your red table and you like brought yourself to the red table. I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely. I was in a lot of pain, and I was very broken. Now, in the process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily enough, you and I were also going through a process of healing in a much different manner.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say we did everything that we could to get away from each other, only to realize that that wasn't.
I think we can all acknowledge that it's just awkward, and it's something that I feel like the world did not need to know about. But Jada felt like it would make herself look good, or I don't know what. To me, it makes her look kind of like a predator.
The craziest episode of Red Table Talk, Jada's show, is definitely when she brought Will on so she could publicly address their relationship. It was advertised by Jada as an opportunity for the couple to heal after all the rumors and heartache, but it seemed like only one of the two was doing any healing. Will, for his part, looked absolutely crushed throughout the whole thing. Will seems to stare off into the distance. His words are shaky, and it seems like it's hard for him to hold his emotions together.
Also, how is her son Jaden gonna feel about bringing friends at home whenever she can do something like this? Honesty is the best policy, but in Jada Smith, she probably could use a little less of it, if it is even all the truth. But actually on SNL, there was one skit where there was one of the actresses making an impression of Jada, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. Let's take a look together.
It's so good to see you, Michael. Thank you for coming to the red table. All right. Sorry if I seem a little tired. I've been on the Today Show 14 times in 3 days.
Always trying to promote that book Worthy that just really, it did numbers, but like in the worst way possible.
You're getting a lot of buzz in your new book. You revealed that you and Will Smith have been separated since 2016?
Mm-hmm, that's the truth. That is the truth. But the day we got married, I knew there was going to be trouble. At our wedding, someone stood up and objected.
Who was it?
It was me, yeah.
Honestly, it's so true because does she, I feel like he's so charming. Did she ever like him? I think part of the reason why she's easy to poke fun at is because her show premise is just a little bit weird. Actually, Nick Cannon has described it as toxic, and that's a lot coming from Nick Cannon. The Red Table Talk had its final run in 2023, and no one seemed happier about it than Nick Cannon. Cannon spoke up after the news broke, admitting he was pleased with the cancellation. Nick called the show the toxic table, saying that too much honesty can get your ass slapped in the face. The television host called out Jada for bringing her marital issues with Will to the talk show, referencing the episode when Jada admitted to being involved with August around 2016. Jada admitted that she was unfaithful, confirming, yes, it was a relationship, absolutely. I was in a lot of pain. I was very broken. So you have to go after a guy that's 21 years younger than you? Nick Cannon wasn't buying their candidness, however, admitting that he no longer looks up to the stars as couple goals. Well, please don't. Saying that was royalty. Will and Jada, they brought it to the table. I don't want to know all this crap about y'all. And I agree. I don't think, how can their own children kind of respect them?
Meta has shut down Facebook Watch Original, Red Table Talk, and others. Yeah. So there's no more Red Table Talk. But according to Deadline, the series producer is shopping the Emmy winning series somewhere else. Nick,
if there was no Red Table Talk, then
No.
You wouldn't have slapped the shit out of Chris Rock.
No.
Are you talking about just that situation?
I'm talking about that toxic table.
It is not. It's an honest table.
Too much honesty can get your ass slapped in the face. We've seen this.
A good slap is what people need sometimes.
That table was toxic. They made all the memes about my brother Will on that damn table. They didn't need to do that. Will and Jada,
They were. They are.
And they brought us to the table. We're like, I don't want to know all this shit about y'all. Some stuff I just want to mind my black-owned business.
You can't.
I don't want to be up in everybody else's kitchen. Keep that shit to yourself.
Let's switch gears and talk about how the Kardashians and Jada Pinkett Smith have gotten into it. Jada Pinkett Smith isn't keeping up with the Kardashians anymore, at least by the looks of her social media. Her and Will have all unfollowed them. The issue sparked after the mother of two hosted Jordyn Woods, who was Kylie Jenner's best friend at the time, on her show in 2019. Jordyn confessed on the Red Table Talk that she and Khloe's on and off again father of her child, Tristan Thompson, had kissed her at a party, leading up to a major divide between the Kardashian clan and the social media influencer. Upon the interview airing, fans quickly noted that Jada had unfollowed Kris, Khloe, and Kim on all social media. Viewers speculated that she was taking Jordyn's side in the debacle, especially since her late father had worked with Will on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. During the sit-down, she lent a helping hand to Jordyn Woods, telling her, "I want you to know that you are supported. I've got you. We've got you." Despite unfollowing Kim, Khloe, and Kris, Jada continued to follow Kendall and Kylie. Interesting. Her husband Will reportedly attempted to reach out to Khloe. Interesting. To smooth things over, a source told The Sun, the Smith family know the Kardashian family very well. They were all at Kim's wedding to Kanye, so Will picked up the phone to speak to Khloe.
What in the actual I'm at Kim's house, and so Tracy came out. Like, who the does this bitch think?
Oh, you can see Khloe's not happy about it.
She is.
She's literally tripping out. She should be apologizing to me.
I agree. Maybe she will.
The fact that she's not at all of our doorsteps, you know my mother,
You know my sisters. I talked to you about the first time.
I wonder when like scandals like this happen, they're like, okay, we need a camera at every sister's home right now.
Tristan cheated on me. I confided in you. Like, my world got destroyed. While Jordyn is doing press interviews about it, who the do you think you are? She can't call me to apologize. Not one time. She never called me one time after the Tuesday when she admitted what she did.
Wait, now that we have the Kardashians Hulu, we have to give like some appreciation to the classic Keeping Up, because the drama on the show was actually good. I miss it.
But you can go and do a sit-down interview like that blows my mind.
Jada had said that Jordyn wanted to be on Red Table Talk, and I said the first thing you
Wait, no, Jada called you when?
She texted me when she landed last night.
Interesting, because the source said that Will called, I guess maybe after the interview, because Jada couldn't fix it.
And oh my God, and I said, Mom, listen to me real quick.
Well, I don't know about that.
Mom, I know she's your friend, but
your responses are so weird.
Jada does have a lot of celebrity friends, and because she is so outspoken and she just talks a little bit too much, she ends up getting into plenty of feuds. And that's definitely the case when it comes to Chris Rock. Remember the 2016 Academy Awards that she made such a big deal about? At the time, Chris was hosting the Oscars that Jada and Will decided to bypass due to lack of representation. He later joked about the couple in his opening monologue, saying Jada's mad her man Will was not nominated for Concussion, pretty much calling her out for probably why they're not there. Jada said to People magazine in 2013 that she hadn't spoken to Chris Rock since Will backhanded him during the 2022 Oscars broadcast. But their differences began years earlier. Quote, "I think there might be some misunderstanding between Chris and I as far as the 2016 Oscars, saying I think that he may have taken offense, which I meant no harm in offending. The two did eventually make up after Chris Rock reached out in 2016, but he hadn't spoken to Jada or Will since the 2022 Oscar slap." Jada said while Chris Rock attempted to apologize right after the event, she didn't feel it was time to hash things out, saying that Chris came down to the end of the stage and tried to apologize to me, but yeah, it was too late. It was a heated moment.
Chris looks to me and he says, "Jada, I meant no harm." Now, I'm just out of it because I'm really worried about
And what's Will doing? He's just sitting there?
And Will's still talking. He's like, he's still, because now he's mad because Chris is talking to me. And I go, Chris, this is about some old shit. That's all I could think to say, right? And I couldn't really take in his apology.
How unusual for Will, a guy who, I mean, on that kind of stage to do something so insane.
Absolutely.
It's totally
It's
out of
not
character.
It's because she's pushed him to that point, but I'll keep my opinion to myself and to you guys.
whatsoever.
Jada revealed that Chris poking fun at her bald hairstyle wasn't the only time that she had been offended by him, saying, "I'll say several times that I've had my feelings hurt for sure. I've had my feelings hurt a lot by Chris, but at the end of the day too, being in the spotlight, it comes with the territory." So Jada gets that it's not easy here in Hollywood. There's a lot of people who will come after you, like 50 Cent. Now 50 Cent, he is prone to public beefs, but he's called out Jada for her checkered past in 2013 and even started a campaign to rescue Will Smith from her. The controversy was sparked in October of that year after Jada admitted to selling drugs when she was a teen. Jada revealed that she didn't have the best influence in her life growing up, as we discussed, and that she had to fend for herself, saying that I knew that anything I needed was something I needed to provide for. I decided to sell drugs, with selling the white powder, which is not good.
The drug dealers were the ones that had affluence. The drug dealers were the ones that had money, right? So that's what we readily saw as success. My mother was not doing well. She was a high-functioning heroin addict, but nonetheless, we didn't have the things that we should have. Like the home we lived in was not taken care of. Even though I always had a regular job, I just wanted more financial freedom. I decided to sell drugs. I decided to sell crack cocaine. And, you know, just along the way, just kind of leveled up. And that was my solution at that particular time to survive. And it helped me survive, but it put me into a lot of danger and I hurt a lot of people.
Now 50 Cent steps in because he wasn't impressed by Jada's will to survive by any means necessary. Instead, he went to Twitter and said, "All right, enough is enough," saying, "Free Will Smith, WTF is going on." His comments also came after Jada revealed that she and Will had privately split back in 2016, despite publicly appearing together in the years followed, which screams PR relationship. Now, when Jada tried to promote her book, she decided to go on tour, and this just got people all riled up because nobody wants to hear these comments, especially out in person. One TikToker in particular, Ryan Davis, posted in 2023 begging Jada to leave us alone, getting over 500,000 likes on the app, saying, "Why do you keep giving us stuff we don't ask for?" referring to the comments about her marriage and her book Worthy, saying, "I guess the book is called How to Publicly Embarrass Your Husband."
Somebody tell Jada Pinkett Smith to leave us alone. Why? Why you keep giving us stuff we don't ask for? She's doing a book tour right now. I guess the book is called How to Publicly Embarrass Your Nigga. And it's probably a great read. It's probably going to be a New York Times bestseller because if she don't know how to do nothing else, she knows how to publicly embarrass this man. She done told us that her and Will ain't been together since 2016. Why we need to know that? And why do you think that's great news? Do you not forget how you guys lied to our face all the time? Remember when the news came out that you spent the whole month of July with August inside of you, like you got your months mixed up? Remember that?
He goes on to bash Jada for how she treated Will during several media interviews. If she doesn't know how to do anything else, she knows how to publicly embarrass this man. He also called her out for how she made light of their rocky journey, referring to the time that Jada remarked on the Red Table Talk that she and Will ride together, we die together, a bad marriage for life.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
Why would you say bad marriage for life and then turn around and tell us that you were shocked when he called you his wife after he slapped Chris Rock? She said, "We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time." So again, I think another comment that she could have totally kept to herself. And because she's had so many bizarre moments throughout her career, a lot of celebrities have dubbed her as lost. This article reads that Rick Ross wasn't exactly on Jada Pinkett Smith's side when her marriage woes went public. In fact, he collaborated with her ex-lover August on their 2020 track Entanglements, which seemed to be a direct response to the affair that Jada had on Will with this much younger August kid. Rick Ross spoke out in a Rolling Stone interview saying he wasn't impressed with her Worthy memoir or how she carried herself in the limelight. "To me, she's psychologically lost and needs some counseling. Jesus, what are you going to tell us next?" He speculated that she might have been her own biggest enemy when it came to book sales, admitting, "I heard the book flopped because she already told us everything and nobody even cares." The rapper threw some serious shade at Jada for her less than notable movie career, acknowledging, "You were in the movie Set It Off, and that's where we all know you from. You got $15,000 for that role, and that's it. calm down. He also attacked her for starting an affair with her son Jaden's close friend, whom he had introduced to his parents, saying, "You effed your son's best friend. You said your son introduced you to psychedelics. What is next?" And he's right.
At one time, we thought Will Smith and Jada was Shaq and Kobe. Just on some, red carpet, let's get this money type shit. But how Jada Pinkett Smith moving, it don't make you want to really be that close with a woman. It'll really make you reconsider ever being married. Damn, baby, you talking about so much personal business. What's your credit score? What's your beacon score? We don't believe you was worth 50 million. Now, show it to us. Prove it to us. We don't believe this shit. Now, show us. Will, go home, Will. Go home, Will. They called me Will growing up. Will, come on, Will. Make her go open you a moon pie.
Anna Navarro from The View also had some thoughts about Jada's book. This article reads that she had choice words for Jada during a segment of The View, slamming Jada for what she called using bombshells to advertise her memoir.
Why do I know so much about these people's marriage? I kind of feel, literally, I kind of feel like I know more about their marriage than I know about my own damn marriage. I don't need to know all of this. I just want to watch reruns of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Bad Boys. What you gonna do? Just leave this out of my head. I think she's having a relationship with her bank account, because every time she needs to increase the ratings of the Red Table, every time she needs to sell books, she drops these bombshells. I find it unseemly. I find it smart. I will tell you this. I find it smart. Be careful of anybody who pretends to have a perfect marriage.
Now, Jada actually responded to Anna's comments on The Breakfast Club, advising the television personality to take time to read the book. While the mother of two admits that she respects a different point of view, she feels that her haters have a bit of reading to do, which is just another tactic of them trying to sell the book even though nobody wants it. She says, "Will knows what it is, I know what it is, my kids know what it is, and more importantly, Great Supreme does too." Who the hell is Great Supreme? I have to admit, after this podcast, I think they may be the worst Hollywood couple. I mean, there are some worse ones as far as DV goes and things like this, but as far as them not crossing that boundary, they're pretty terrible. If you guys want a deep dive on anyone else, reach out to me at SloanWellKnown@gmail.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode, and I'll see you for next week's episode. Bye, guys.